General Hospital will reveal Drew has become a focal point of discussion among General Hospital fans after some eagle-eyed viewers noticed significant inconsistencies in how the show has portrayed his political career. These inaccuracies have sparked debates, with many questioning the realism of Drew's storyline as a congressman. While dramatic liberties are often taken in soap operas, this particular misrepresentation has stood out, making it difficult for fans to overlook. One of the most glaring errors came during a conversation between Drew and Nina, where they discussed his political future. During this exchange, Drew mentioned that he wouldn't have to face voters again for another 4 years. However, in reality, members of the U.S. House of Representatives serve 2-year terms, not 4. This mistake is not just a minor oversight, it fundamentally misrepresents how congressional elections work, raising concerns about the show's attention to detail. Another puzzling aspect of Drew's storyline is the suggestion that he wouldn't need to be in Washington, D.C., after taking office. In reality, congressional representatives frequently travel to the Capitol for legislative sessions, committee meetings, and voting on national policies. Yet, General Hospital has depicted Drew as if he can operate exclusively from Port Charles, managing his duties remotely while maintaining an active presence in the town's affairs. This portrayal has left many wondering why the writers didn't choose a more fitting political position for him, such as a state senator or city council member, roles that would allow him to remain more locally engaged without contradicting political realities. Moreover, the show has exaggerated Drew's influence, giving him an almost mayoral level of control over Port Charles. Despite being a junior congressman, he is shown having an outsized say in local development projects, such as an Esplanade initiative where he supposedly had the authority to invoke eminent domain. In reality, a U.S. representative wouldn't have direct control over such city-level decisions, as those fall under the jurisdiction of municipal governments or state legislatures. These inaccuracies make Drew's political arc feel more like fiction than a plausible storyline within the General Hospital universe. Drew's political storyline on General Hospital has sparked heated debates among fans, with many pointing out major inaccuracies in how his career in Congress has been portrayed. While soap operas often take creative liberties, the way the show has structured Drew's role as a politician has led to significant confusion, with some viewers finding it difficult to suspend their disbelief. From errors in term lengths to unrealistic depictions of a congressman's responsibilities, these inconsistencies have raised questions about whether the show's writers conducted proper research or simply prioritized drama over accuracy. One of the most obvious mistakes that fans quickly caught on to was Drew's statement during a conversation with Nina about his political future. In their discussion, he mentioned that he wouldn't have to face voters again for another 4 years. However, in the real world, members of the U.S. House of Representatives serve 2-year terms, meaning that Drew would need to campaign for re-election much sooner than the show suggests. This error immediately stood out to politically aware viewers, who took to social media to express their frustrations. One viewer commented, "How do you mess up something this basic? House members run every 2 years. It's literally one of the first things you learn in civics class." Another added, "If the writers wanted Drew to have a 4-year term, why not just make him a senator instead? At least then it would make sense." Beyond the issue of term length, another glaring inconsistency is the way Drew's congressional duties are depicted. The show implies that after winning his election, he wouldn't need to be in Washington, D.C., regularly, an idea that contradicts the reality of how Congress operates. In real life, members of the House must frequently travel to the Capitol for legislative sessions, committee meetings, and voting on national policies. Yet, in General Hospital, Drew appears to have near total freedom to stay in Port Charles, as if he has no obligations in Washington at all. One fan sarcastically pointed out this issue, writing, "I had no idea being a congressman was a remote job. Does he just zoom into Congress whenever he feels like it?" Another joked, "Drew must have some kind of magic teleportation device because last time I checked, Washington, D.C., and Port Charles aren't exactly next door to each other." The portrayal of Drew's influence in Port Charles also defies logic. Despite being a freshman congressman with limited seniority, he appears to wield an unusual amount of power over the town's affairs. His involvement in local development projects, such as discussions about an esplanade, implies that he has direct control over city planning and land use policies, which are typically under the jurisdiction of local or state governments. In one particular instance, he was even shown considering the use of eminent domain, a legal power that a U.S. congressman wouldn't have authority over at a municipal level. One frustrated viewer called out this inaccuracy, writing, "Since when do federal politicians micromanage small-town projects? This isn't how government works." Another chimed in, "Are we sure Drew isn't secretly the mayor of Port Charles? Because he seems to have more say over city planning than the actual officials." The uproar over these missteps has led to broader discussions about whether General Hospital should take greater care in ensuring realism, especially when tackling political storylines. Some fans have suggested that if the writers wanted Drew to be involved in politics while remaining an active presence in Port Charles, they should have given him a role in state or local government instead. For example, if he had been elected to the New York State Assembly or served as a city council member, it would have made much more sense for him to still be actively involved in local affairs while balancing his political responsibilities. A longtime fan of the show wrote, "If they wanted Drew to stay in town and still be a politician, making him a state senator or assemblyman would have been a no-brainer. Many state legislators have other jobs outside of politics, so it would have been totally believable." Another viewer echoed this sentiment, saying, "I don't mind fictional drama, but when it's something as easily researchable as government structure, there's really no excuse." Despite the growing backlash, the General Hospital writing team has yet to acknowledge these errors or offer any explanation for why Drew's political storyline has been structured so unrealistically. Some fans hope that the show will eventually adjust its narrative to correct these inconsistencies, perhaps by modifying Drew's role in politics to better align with reality. Others, however, are less optimistic, believing that the writers will simply ignore the criticisms and continue with the storyline as is. One particularly disheartened fan summed up the frustration, saying, "I love this show, but sometimes it feels like they think we're too dumb to notice when they get things wrong. I just wish they'd put a little more effort into making things make sense." Another added, "At this point, I half expect Drew to be named President of the United States without ever leaving Port Charles." Whether or not General Hospital chooses to address these concerns, one thing is certain: fans are paying close attention, and they won't hesitate to call out inaccuracies when they see them. Until then, viewers will continue watching, debating, and hoping that the show finds a way to bring Drew's political arc back to a more believable path. Despite the growing criticism, General Hospital's writers have yet to acknowledge or address the inaccuracies surrounding Drew's political storyline. The lack of response has only amplified discussions among viewers, leaving many to wonder whether the show intends to rectify these errors or simply continue as if nothing is amiss. Given the longevity and dedicated following of General Hospital, this kind of oversight does not go unnoticed. Fans have long been accustomed to dramatic twists, but when it comes to fundamental details, such as how political offices function, many expect a level of accuracy that enhances the believability of the story rather than detracting from it. The concern here is not just about a single error in the timeline of Drew's congressional term, but about a broader pattern of inconsistencies that make his storyline feel detached from reality. The fact that the show has depicted Drew as having an unusual level of control over Port Charles despite being a federal legislator is something that continues to raise eyebrows. As a congressman, his primary responsibilities would be tied to national or regional policies, yet the show has written him into scenarios where he appears to hold sway over local governance matters, something that would be more fitting for a city council member or state legislator rather than a representative in Washington, D.C. This raises the question of whether General Hospital will make any adjustments to correct these missteps. While soap operas often take creative liberties, there is a fine line between storytelling flexibility and factual errors that break immersion for the audience. Many fans have been vocal about the importance of grounding even the most dramatic narratives in some level of reality, as doing so allows for deeper audience investment. Without that, even the most intriguing character arcs can feel hollow or unconvincing. Given the history of soap operas, it is not uncommon for shows to make mid-course corrections when a storyline does not land well with the audience. In the past, General Hospital has occasionally retconned or revised storylines to fix narrative inconsistencies or to address negative feedback. If the show chooses to acknowledge and adjust Drew's political arc, it could do so in a way that transitions his role into something more aligned with his presence in Port Charles, perhaps by having him step into a more local political position or by providing a plausible reason for why he does not seem to be in Washington as often as one would expect. However, there is also the possibility that the writers will leave things as they are, continuing to write Drew's storyline without directly addressing the inaccuracies. If that happens, it may become one of those details that dedicated viewers simply learn to overlook while still following the broader drama of the series. While this may not sit well with fans who value realism, the reality of soap operas is that not every detail is always perfectly aligned with real-world logic. Regardless of how the show chooses to proceed, one thing is certain: General Hospital has an incredibly devoted audience, and fans will be watching closely to see how Drew's political storyline develops. Whether the show eventually aligns his role more realistically or continues on its current path, viewers will undoubtedly continue tuning in, analyzing, and discussing every twist and turn along the way. The next steps in Drew's storyline will determine whether this controversy fades into the background or remains a point of contention for fans who are hoping for a more coherent and credible depiction of his political career. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes of General Hospital to see how Drew's political storyline continues to evolve and whether the show will address the lingering inconsistencies that have sparked such widespread discussion among fans. Given the unpredictable nature of soap operas, it remains to be seen whether the writers will choose to acknowledge the inaccuracies, correct them in a way that aligns with real-world politics, or simply forge ahead with the existing narrative, leaving viewers to suspend their disbelief. One thing is certain: this storyline is far from over, and with General Hospital's track record of delivering shocking twists and unforeseen turns, audiences can expect surprises that could change everything. Will Drew's political career take an unexpected direction? Could there be an unforeseen shakeup that forces him to reassess his role? Or will another character step into the picture, bringing complications that alter the course of his journey? Fans of the show know that just when a storyline seems predictable, General Hospital finds a way to subvert expectations, adding new layers of drama that keep audiences engaged. Whether Drew's role in Port Charles will remain as influential as it currently is, or if he will be forced to navigate new challenges that threaten his position, remains to be seen. There could even be larger consequences if his political trajectory is suddenly derailed, opening the door to a whole new arc that no one saw coming. For longtime viewers, the anticipation surrounding how the show will handle Drew's future is just one of many reasons to stay tuned. Will the writers choose to incorporate a real-world political conflict that puts him in a difficult position? Could his past come back to haunt him in ways that jeopardize both his career and personal life? Or will the show introduce an external force that reshapes everything fans thought they knew? With so many possibilities on the horizon, audiences won't want to miss a moment. Each episode brings the potential for new revelations, and General Hospital has a long history of keeping its fans on the edge of their seats. Whether it's through dramatic confrontations, hidden secrets, or a sudden twist that no one saw coming, the show always finds a way to keep viewers guessing. Make sure to tune in to see what happens next, because the upcoming episodes are sure to bring developments that will leave everyone talking. Whatever direction Drew's storyline takes, one thing is for sure: it will continue to be a topic of discussion, and fans will be eagerly watching to see what surprises General Hospital has in store.